when last we left our intrepid adventurers, we had slain Hank's nemesis, or Hank had, ripped him asunder, and then we waited around for a week. Oh no, that's not quite true. Since we had a week and we were in the vicinity, we decided to knock another quest off of our quest stack.
Yeah, they got emboldened by killing Riproar. They're like, why not solve them all?
Yes, let's fix everything in the world that we've had accumulated up.
Is this the rock?
Yes.
I knew it.
Yep. We went to complete the cobblestone quest. We went and found the quarry that was this cobblestone's ancestral home. And we arrived, and the quarry was long abandoned and overgrown. And there were like kobold caves there. So there were... wait a second. Kobolds? Did we actually make those roll, Jen? I think you mentioned...
No, I said... Well, did I say kobolds?
I think you said kobolds.
I think I said some low-level monsters like kobolds or something that you don't care about are taking it over.
Yeah, they all... As soon as, like, we're a 15th level party, we saunter into town with our bronze griffins with the neon undercarriage and stuff. And they're all like, oh, high-level adventurers. Hi. And so we never even saw them.
And then they watched you complete your quest.
You set a single rock down. And they were like, that must be an amazing rock.
It's like an artifact or something.
Yeah, to them it is.
Yeah. No, there was a slight complication to the quest. When we arrived in the quarry, there was a human pyramid of Warforged standing in the middle of the quarry. And the Warforged up on top was holding his hand up, ready to hold. It was about the right size and shape for a cobblestone.
Oh, jeez.
And sure enough, we sort of did all this triangulation and whatnot, and that's the exact spot where the cobblestone originally came from. And so we go up to the Warforged, and we're like debating, like, do we put the rock up there? And we're taking a very long time to try and figure out what to do. And the Warforged are obviously like, come on, so close. And we're discussing how we'll go up there and do it, and what if the Warforged attack us? So finally, serendipity, Vengol, Stardom, Lord, Toppler, Tower, Shepherdstone, Strap, Dude Layer, used Mage Hand to put the cobblestone up there. And all the Warforged did this huge sigh of relief thing. It's like, oh, jeez. And they all cast Sending. And we don't know what they send, but they're giving some sort of report.
What is it called again?
The Destiny Prognostication Engine.
Prognostication. I can't say the word.
Built by the Obelisk. And
so he foresaw this, or they foresaw this.
Apparently, yeah.
I feel like the Destiny Prognostication Engine, it's really close to having all the right letters for being called the DERP.
It's the DM's ace in the hole. I knew this would happen.
Destiny Engine Retrograde Prognosticator. The DERP.
Yeah. Anyway, so Aurora goes up to these Warforged and uses her diplomancer skills to engage them in conversations about their grandmothers. She rolls like 50 plus or something and gets them talking. They're still in this human pyramid thing.
Thousands of years silent.
And
she managed to make
one guy on the bottom starts talking to her,
and everyone else is like, "Shut up!" But he just keeps rambling on.
The guy at bottom gives me like, "Shut up!" He's like, "Yeah, what you gonna do about it, lead butt?"
Yep, he's been under there for who knows how long. And so, we get some information from them. Not a whole lot. Basically, their orders were to do this. The Obelisk ordered them to do this. But the Obelisk has been incommunicado for thousands of years, since the Ood-apocalypse. Which is kind of interesting, because there's other Warforged that have had contact with it. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on anymore. We had the theory that by delaying the Ood-apocalypse, this is an out-of-character theory. I don't think anyone in character knows any of this. Am I correct?
Not, yeah. Closest we know is Croesus' Tale of the Mole People.
Yes, which is hopelessly wrong, but we have nothing better to go on, so our characters probably half believe that. But anyway, out of character, we think that by delaying the Ood-apocalypse, the Obelisk was able to make better preparations to survive it. And so we did alter history in a sense. You go in such silence.
Trying to make room.
Yeah.
Inevitably, we'll need it all.
So we finished that.
And nothing really happens.
Nothing really happens. We get another ding, da-da-da-da-da, quest complete. And, we level up.
We're returning
I don't think we level up because of the Obelisk.
Oh, no, you
this
totally
time.
did.
It was this time. So yeah, it's finally time to do the time travel. So we go to the predetermined place at the predetermined time, and serendipity, bed gold star north, top right tower, steps old star time, doom layer, casts the spell, and we begin our very special effects heavy travel through.
Your SFX laden voyage.
Yes, all like the wormhole with all these
Millions of dollars went
Serendipity
into
cast
that.
this.
Oh yeah, what was that?
Serendipity cast this?
Yes.
Yeah, because she's figured out from the stuff how to.
Yeah. You're the one who's screwing up the name, not me. It's on you.
Who cast it?
So they're traveling on the time, which is a 4-dimensional surface in 5 dimensions.
There's all these
and
clocks flying past us and stuff.
Just before it happens, Serendipity realizes that she made a small mistake, and that is that she's still on the right trajectory, but that trajectory is going to take her through a moment of time that they have to, like, it's like a pit stop partway through that they gotta hit.
We're going to arrive at a place, and we have to stay within a mile of that place for 30 hours, and then our journey will resume.
Was there also a wheezing sound and like?
No, though I did use the theme song to some old show that I've never seen called Time Tunnel.
It had sounded familiar, but I couldn't place it. I have seen a couple episodes of Time Tunnel. I was going to ask where that was from, but I couldn't. Anyway.
So they end up
you arrive
hurled
in the
face
moment.
down and like in the dirt. It looks like it's dirt. It looks like there's a bit of grass, like it's been a trampled field of some kind or
A
something.
heavily trodden field.
And they look around. There's all these people in rags, thousands of people in rags, with people, all various people spotted amongst them, guarding them, wearing EF uniforms.
Imperial uniforms.
Soldiers.
Yeah, Imperial soldiers.
Pain slaves.
No, they're just regular citizens.
Oh.
Time-wise, we're, 25 years in the past-ish?
Yeah, you're not sure, but you're on the way to going.
Yeah. We're very close to our destination, which was 30 years in the past, and so we're around 25-ish. We are not yet before the point where Aurora got the doom thing in her head, so we do need to make the further trip. Yeah, we arrive, and there's Imperial soldiers guarding all these thousands of ragged people in this field, sort of like an impromptu camp or something like that.
And some of them notice him appearing.
Yeah, so some of these guards start approaching us.
Well, and the peasants are saying, are you here to liberate us? I heard a rumor that someone heard ascending that the EF were defeated at the Battle of Greybridge. And they notice that in this field full of people, it's like most of them are down below, and there's a whole bunch of EF archers up on a ridge guarding them, and the ridge is just covered in ferns and that kind of stuff.
Yes. And as soon as he says a ridge covered in ferns, I'm like, the Bracken Ridge. The first thing, we don't have any time right now because these guards are approaching. We need to get out of here. And there's a lot of these guards. If we fight, we're probably going to go down because there's a lot of them. But fortunately, we have our bronze eagles, or griffins. So
With neon undercarriage.
With neon undercarriage. So we hop on those and we just fly straight up. We can't go more than a mile away, and the camp is huge, so we can't. There's no place to hide. But if we just go straight up and go into a holding pattern, like half a mile up or whatever,
You should be fine.
we should be fine.
They take a bunch of arrow shots because as they're getting on, all the guards start mobilizing and shooting at them.
Yeah.
And I just had that. What did I? You had to
You
take
took
4
us
healing
some
surges.
healing
or something,
surges
so I
off,
didn't wanna-
because we didn't want to roll it all out.
And they told them to get up some anti-air stuff that they
Yeah.
had, but they got up out of range of it.
Yeah.
But they
And-
have some kind of as you would have to have in a battle where the enemy has flying units. They have things that'll punch you out of the sky. They'll suppress your flying ability.
Yeah. But, we just sort of appeared out of nowhere in the middle of this vast horde of ragged refugees.
Yeah.
And then flew straight up. So I guess they just didn't have everything.
They didn't have it ready.
On a hair
It's ready
trigger.
now, so they can't come back down, or they're going to get hit with it right away.
Yep. So we're hovering up there, trying to decide what to do.
History records that Bracken Ridge was a place there was a bunch of slaves. They were being marched back to the Empire to become paying slaves.
They'd been captured, but hadn't been processed.
And
Well, they're not paying slaves yet. They haven't been processed. They've been captured and are being brought back.
when the Battle of Greybridge was lost, it was clear that the EF forces were going to be pushed back. General Vondengrot got on his horse and rode as fast as he could to the camp of slaves and ordered them just to be slaughtered. Whereupon he got the moniker the Butcher of Bracken Ridge. they are on this place full of. The history records that about 3,000 slaves were just slaughtered.
Yeah.
For
It was
no
a
reason.
huge massacre.
And
Sheer spite. There was no reason for it.
there's about 3,000 slaves in the camp with a big Bracken Ridge, and the Battle of Greybridge was just one.
Yep.
You're like,
Yeah. Yeah. Now the dilemma. So, well, a couple things. First of all, our bronze griffins aren't going to last 30 hours. We can't hover up here for 30 hours.
you can't cast them midair.
We started sort of like pondering, how else can we hover up here or whatever. But that sort of became of lesser priority.
Yeah.
The first thing everyone was jumping on is like, oh, this is a great historic atrocity and it's going to play out right below us. Can we do anything about that? And obviously we've had some situations where we've been presented with great tragedies and we've not been able to fix them because history, Jenga blocks, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, this is a bit of a dilemma.
You guys slayed the Slayer of Bracken
We
Ridge?
That was one of our first big scores. We slew the Butcher of Bracken Ridge, Vonderbrot, when he.
He was hiding out as a war criminal because after this he just ran. He disappeared. No one knows what happened to him.
I'm sure Serendipity wants to fix this because she wants to screw over that guy who stole the name
Yeah.
of her.
I was
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
say, she lost that.
Yeah, that was one of our thoughts. It's like if we undo this, if we prevent the slaughter, then he's no longer the Butcher of Bracken Ridge, and then she doesn't get the name Slayer of Butcher of Bracken Ridge, and then when it comes time that she gets her name taken like that, he'd have to take a different name or something like that, and it's like, so there's a lot of potential for paradox and problem here.
If she prevents it, she'd probably get a preventer of the slaying at Bracken Ridge or something.
We'll work out her name later.
But there was also talk of like if they can make it so that they still killed the Butcher of Bracken Ridge and she still had the name, but they know that it wasn't real or something, then now they can pull it out on that guy and be like, turns out your name is worthless.
It's like how
the
we
deal's already
saved.
signed.
It's like how we saved Aderon. Make sure history records that things played out the way we remember it, but we actually secretly saved him.
Okay.
So we just have to make straw dummies that look like 3,000 refugees.
Yes.
Swap them out before the butch. No, that wasn't one of the plans we discussed at all. We never thought of anything that dumb. But yeah, we sort of like, okay, maybe we can't save all of them. We still need an atrocity to happen here. But maybe we can save some of them. Maybe we can make it not quite as bad. It's just like when we delayed the destruction of the Ood, It's like, okay, we're still going to be an apocalypse, but we'll push it back a couple weeks. That's
Think
like...
of all the Ood that were born in that 2-week period that were brought into the life and then extinguished immediately.
It was...
Well, they didn't notice being extinguished, so they got like 2 weeks of free life. Awesome.
Millions of Ood days worth of life was added there. It's,
Man.
by delaying the apocalypse by a couple
Ood
weeks, it's like saving a few thousand Ood for their whole lifetimes.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So we sort of gel a plan. We put a plan together. What we're going to do is we're going to have someone go down and pretend to be General von Wonderbrot and become the Butcher of Bracken Ridge, but lesser.
You're going to kill him.
When we looked over our stats, I have by far the highest bluff score. I'm an Imperial subject, so I know how these things work. I have a hat of disguise. We still have his armor and sword from when we killed him. We never got round to selling that stuff, so we still have that in inventory. So we pull that out of inventory.
You couldn't have just petrified them,
So
thus getting them later, or
no. History needs to record.
I'm curious. What is an atrocity by numbers?
Well, it's interesting because there's, you can. Well, yes, you'll see.
Let's see how we
play
do
with
it.
things sometimes, but
So yeah, Cricket dresses herself up in the butcher's armor and uses a hat of disguise and drinks a potion of invisibility and jumps off the bronze griffin. She's got a ring of featherfall.
Right.
And that's how she infiltrates the base in secret. She lands some distance away.
in some foliage,
Yeah.
so they can just come out.
And then she comes out, coming from the direction that, the Greybridge is in. And she comes, charging out of the underbrush like she's been forced marching, all this way across. And I roll my bluff score to pass myself off as the Butcher of Bracken Ridge. Once all the bonuses and extras and all the stuff we'd piled on finishes, I roll a 53 bluff score.
All right.
So I am.
You are the slave.
I am General von Wonderbrot.
The real general would show up and be like, "That's actually the real general. I'm clearly a fake."
So I come rushing up, and all the guards are like, "General, okay, you come. What are our orders? What should we do?" And so I throw myself into the role with gusto. John, of course, uses a German accent for the Empire of Endless Flowers because he thinks of them as horrible Nazis, as opposed to the cultured civilization, 1,000-year civilization. Anyway, whatever. It's a debate for another day. I threw in with the German accent too, because why not?
The scout runs up, General, we did not see you coming. And he was like, well,
clearly your sentries are not paying attention. They are idiots.
Kill them.
Well, actually, I didn't.
He didn't say that, but the other guy said that.
Yes, if you didn't see me coming, then your sentries are fools. But there's no time for that. Our forces have fallen at the Grey Bridge. It is a rout. We must fall back to a more secure position. To delay the pursuing Alliance forces, we must release all these prisoners and hurt them, send them in that direction to basically slow them down. And then, of course, since he has to be the Butcher of Bracken Ridge, I order, in order to make them, get moving faster, take everyone, pick your favorites and butcher them. Butcher them! So I order
really push that butcher.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a real push on that.
So I order the soldiers to kill a few prisoners to get the others running. And then one soldier is like, isn't that a little bit evil, sir? And I'm like, butcher him too!
I'm the Butcher of Bracken Ridge!
I didn't quite go that far.
I remember you shouting, I'm a butcher!
Something along those lines. But I also forgot von Wonderbrot's name, so I kept calling him von Wonderbread. I, General of Wonderbread, order you to butcher these people. And everyone around the table is laughing uproariously as I order hundreds of innocent people to be slaughtered, and the one good soldier that spoke up against it as well.
Gotta end that bloodline.
Yeah.
Now I gotta ask, have you considered the possibility that in time you were actually the butcher and he never was?
Yeah, well now he never was.
No, maybe he never was.
Yeah.
And he got that tag because of what you did.
We did have to pull 4 Jenga blocks.
Oh, okay, so things have
So
changed.
things have changed. So
I feel like
afterwards,
you missed an opportunity there, John. How many Jenga blocks, John? None. You were always the butcher.
so yeah, after I have all, thousands of refugees are now flooding back in the direction of the Allied forces. A few hundred, I think it was 500 got killed out of 3,000?
Well, in the end, after you went down, people started healing. And because of healing, in the end, it was only 220 got killed instead of 3,000.
The troops, after that, moved out. They started running. And then I snuck away and returned back up to the party. Or, no, I didn't. No, I did have my bronze griffin with me. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, Tricket is the Butcher of Bracken Ridge. She committed a war crime.
Yeah, and meanwhile, the so-called Butcher of Bracken Ridge, General von Wonderbrot, came, while they were up in the air, and he first encountered the bunch of slaves who were running away. And he was like, they saw him and were like, it's the Butcher of Bracken Ridge! And they all scattered. And then
Was is das?
Yeah, he goes to they're my soldiers. And some random slave boy's like, they aren't here. They aren't here. And all the slaves suddenly start charging
we're like,
him.
oh, holy crap, do we have to save the Butcher of Bracken Ridge now from the slaves? Well, the former captives or whatever. But no, fortunately, he gets away from them. He's on horseback. So.
He lost a pain slave or two in the process, but he got away.
Which I think should mean that our fight with him was easier, but,
Well, it probably was. But.
Yeah.
And then he gets to the camp where the slaves are supposed to be, and he looks around at all, the few dead ones, and he just looks around, kicks one of them in spite, and then rides off.
And so, yes, we saved about 2,700 of the 3,000 that were killed.
Mm-hmm.
But I still did order the killing of over 200 innocent people. Yeah, who'd have thunk? Cricket. So now we're starting to discuss, like, new names for Serendipity, Vingle, Shadow More, Top Retire, Subsoul, Shadow Time, Doomslayer. Owner of the Butcher of Bracken Ridge, you know. Slayer of Butcher of Bracken Ridge and preventer of the atrocity.
Well, and they do now have in their back pocket that Serendipity didn't actually slay the Butcher of Bracken Ridge.
Yeah.
So now the name that What's-His-Face has is worthless.
Thunder Thighs. The Merciless.
So that was where the session left off, pretty much. Oh yeah, forgot to so during the debates about what to do, Croesus realized that we had an opportunity to break time here, which would, as far as he's concerned, end the dream. And so he started proposing, oh yeah, we have to save these people. And then we went along with that, and we didn't break time. So he's a little disappointed, but we came close. And we also did a bunch of discussion about Kalinar's plan with Aurora, about how, he thinks he can have the Void Monster eat the Void Monster out from her and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. And we realized that even if that doesn't work, we're still going to save the world, because we worked out the timelines. If the monster doesn't destroy itself when attacking Aurora and still just does the usual put it inside her head thing, the original Aurora, who would have died there, won't die. Our Aurora will die instead. Mm-hmm. And then she'll go and wake up under the tree, and then come time looped. She won't have a beginning or end. But the Void Monster will be stuck in a time loop with her.
Right.
And so even if Kalinar's plan doesn't work, we'll still defeat the Void Monster at the expense of permanently time looping Aurora. And Aurora's kind of freaking out a little bit about this, because this is the most deathy thing that can happen, essentially. Normally when a star dies, they just wake up under not under a tree, but they wake up somewhere.
There would still be an Aurora, because past Aurora would live on.
Yeah.
So there's an Aurora that gets in a loop, but past Aurora isn't in the loop.
Would you just recruit the other Aurora?
I was saying, she'll be 25th level. Well, it's an upgrade.
Maybe something will happen and she won't.
We'll trade in our Aurora for a 25th level one, and time loop the end of all things in the process. So yeah, she was kind of freaking out about that. Most of the characters now have things to freak out about.
An interesting way she could rebuild her character, pick new skills.
Robin actually has been sort of occasionally lamenting that she's not Cora. She really wants to be Cora. Previous character.
The one that was like naked half the time?
No, that was Sadie.
Yours.
It's like two incidences where she wound up naked and on fire in a fight. and that became like one of her
defining characters. It's like, you mean Sadie? Yeah, the naked one.
She wore clothing like 90% of the time.
Cora was the character that was most like Robin, and is a very convenient character to have. The inquisitive one. It's like, there's an interesting thing over there. I'm going to go investigate it, even though it's dumb. I want to find out what happens.
Was she the one that drank the black ichor from the... Yeah.
And she was the one that, when we were doing this dungeon crawl, we opened this room, and there's this jade eagle sitting on a pedestal in the middle of the room.
Mm-hmm. She goes and grabs it?
And no, the very first thing is like, before anything else happened, I told John, Sadie grapples Cora. Before any other words were spoken.
Right.
And I managed to grapple check, and we dragged her out of the room. Because it was an obvious trap, and we also knew that she was going to go for it. And so we dragged her out of the room, and then a bit later on, we got in this huge three-way fight with these Warforged and this other adventuring party or something like that. This huge, complicated fight was going on. And Cora took that opportunity to slip away and go and grab that eagle, which of course triggered, it was a poison gas trap or something.
Yeah, it was actually almost deadly because she was by herself.
Yeah.
And she passed out from the poison gas.
Yeah. So yeah, that was Cora.
That's the things that Robin always wants to do.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, my stupid character's too wise to do that.
Well, the good news is we might be condemning her to an eternal living death. And Cricket's probably going to have some questions of the High Priestess about how this works now. Like, okay, a new question. One of my owners is in a time loop, but unfortunately I can't ask the question until we get back to the present.
Did they forbid you from talking to
They
them?
did. They did.
Can you ask if you can ask?
I could do that, but they'll say no. No, as soon as the Serpent Priestess said, you can contact me anytime, even if you're in the past, the whole party was like, no! Forbidden! Now, Cricket is pretty sure what the implications are, and she was told that her understanding was probably good, so she'll not feel too concerned about it.
Yeah, they did. Eventually, the history caught up with them, and they did a history check on what happened at Bracken Ridge, and they discovered that it's still thought that like thousands of people were killed, but then there's rumors that it was like over exaggerated. But generally, that's considered to be revisionist history, so people don't really pay attention to that. They're like, yeah, I'm pretty sure thousands of people were killed.
Only Bracken Ridge deniers say that kind of stuff. Yeah. So now, not only am I in a position of defending our fantasy world's Nazi equivalents as being not all that bad.
You're one of them.
But we're also like, yeah, those atrocities that the history claims they did they didn't do that. Tops a few hundred.
You're slowly gonna become a Nazi yourself through this campaign. You're gonna be the last boss. You're gonna be a solo.
I don't know. Having Cricket be the last boss would be difficult.
John, new plan. Make it happen.
Could happen,
Find
though.
a way.
If Cricket was to be sold off to a villain, she would, of course.
No, the party orders cause villain or Cricket to become the final boss.
Yeah.
Well, they did say if they ordered her Cricket, fight us to the death. Yes, she would have.
Suicide by domestic, I suppose.
Yeah, this has to happen now. That's how the story must end.
Yeah.
And then when you're telling this later on, when you start the story retelling, you can say, and then there was Cricket, who was a blah blah blah, and she ultimately was the end of us all. But we'll get to that. And then never touch on it until later on.
Well, assuming that Kalinar's plan works, they are going to have to kill past Aurora so the timeline doesn't mess up.
Mm-hmm.
So there may be a moment where someone has to...
Because Aurora gave up her ownership of you?
No, Croesus did.
Croesus did.
Aurora has managed to double-think her way into retaining ownership. She's convinced herself that the paper she signed was essentially guardianship rather than
Delusional.
ownership. Yeah. Yeah, Aurora is just hopelessly delusional about this whole is Cricket a person thing. It's so sad.
And that's where you guys ended it?
Yep. Yep. So we're continuing our journey into the past. And did we actually finish that? I think we did. We arrived. Oh yeah, that's right. We arrived in a tree. We landed in a tree, which is good because we're aiming for a forest. So we probably have hit the right spot and the right time.
It's like one tree in a field.
Just grasslands for miles and miles. One tree.
No, I think we're in the right spot.
You run into it and you break it. And you're like, oh.
We did do a little bit of talking about as well how we're actually going to go about, because okay, we need to go back here and this needs to happen. Now, how do we make it happen? And we sort of are settling, I think, on why don't we go to this past adventuring party and talk to them like normal, reasonable people and explain to them what's going on. It's just so crazy it might work. Except, of course, we know that their big quest, they were fighting doppelgangers the whole time. So we can't have Kalinar or Aurora be the ones that go and talk to them. But everyone else in the party is okay. Except we probably shouldn't have Croesus talk to them. So that narrows it down to Serendipity, Van Goldstein, Laura Talbot, Tyler, Seven Gold, Sunshine, Doomdelay, and Cricket. So was it as awful as you remembered? Whoa, a ringing endorsement compared to what I was expecting. That's okay. I won't force you again until next year.
Probably going to be washing my face for the rest of the afternoon.
The neat thing is, earlier on Friday, John was commenting how he hadn't done enough prep time and he didn't have anything ready.
And then you told him to hurt you.
Just do something evil.
Yeah.
Just do something like what happened on Doctor Who, where they're trying to go in one place and they end up in another.
Yeah.
And I was like, an evil idea.
But then Brian told me that he told you to do something awful to Cricket.
Yeah, well, I sort of suggested, everything's been going great for Cricket compared to everyone else, so feel free to do something horrible to Cricket.
Yeah.
But
and
it wasn't.
I don't think he was specifically planning that. The fact that Cricket turned out to be the best suited to play the butcher at Bracken Ridge just sort of turned out that way.
Yeah.
I don't think he expected our particular specific solution.
Yeah, I really was just thinking, I'll throw them in a historical situation that they know about and it's tied to their thing, right? It's perfect, but they can't necessarily screw with it, right?
Yeah.
So,
like if they ruin it too much, their journey to the past gets broken, right?
yeah,
And possibly everything gets
broken.
broken.
Yeah.
So we did have the option of just watching 3,000 people get slaughtered.
And I thought that might be a possible outcome. I was like, whatever, they'll figure something out. And ultimately, yeah, if they just hang out for 30 hours, then they can continue on their way.
Yep.
Yeah, they just have to have a front seat to the worst massacre.
But fortunately, they were able to order cricket to be awful and wash their hands of it.
Yeah. Why you should always have a domestic.
Plausible deniability.
Time is cracked. It's not broken. Didn't break it. But it's cracked. It's starting to give. And all of those slaves got away. We changed it. That's what I gotta do. I gotta break time. I gotta save these people.
So it turns out Cricket's the butcher of Bracken Ridge? That's weird. Okay. At least it's better than it was before. Go team.
So, if he was this butcher of Bracken Ridge, but he didn't actually butcher anyone. I mean, he killed like 20 people at Bracken Ridge. That's not really butcher. I mean, Cricket did a lot worse. But does that mean that I was still the slayer of the butcher of Bracken Ridge? Because it wasn't really a butcher. Does that mean that name I sold was worthless? That makes me kind of happy, because screw him. But on the other hand, that was my name. I'm so confused.
So I've discovered that I'm going to die. Like, actually die. Like, not die in the way that other people die. I do that all the time. But cease to go forward. Cease to wake up. Cease to start again. There'll be no new mornings. There'll be no new beginnings. I'll just be trapped going round and round. And it will always be the same story. And I feel sort of afraid. It's like I won't be anybody anymore. It's like I won't exist anymore separate from this. It's really disquieting. I feel afraid.